My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. It is Friday, February 21st, 2025, and it's currently 10:07 a.m. And so my purpose for starting video at this time is again to capture the specific environment, which is that which frames the entity, the state of California, who are acting vicariously through who are legally referred to as the people of the state, while the system of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is gang stalking, and that pattern of conduct, that evidence to prove that a government is stalking is shown through a specific environment which defies nature. And again, on this day in 2024, February 21st at 10:07 a.m., which is why I'm starting this video at 10:07 a.m., I am in Los Angeles. I am gainfully employed by Speaker Companies Incorporated as the property manager at a apartment complex in Los Angeles. It is called Alvarado Gardens. And this is where I was subject to federal group stalking and monitoring. This is literally being gang stalked by my employer, who are also the people of the state. So there are many intersections with regard to the legal implications of prosecuting the state. And this is documentation of where the fake sun is as I'm documenting at 10:07 a.m. And I want to show today a year later, I am capturing what is on this day at 8:09 a.m. This is where the fake sun is starting. Okay, this is, as I documented before, the entity is gang stalking by the people of the state, including Tracy Banks. So Tracy Banks is stalking inside of her apartment. She's doing so while the entity is stalking in the path with methods of light activity, doing so with demons like this who are stalking in the path, knowing that I'm capturing video, standing under the fake sun, gang stalking with the African American over 55. She's resident number 42. She is going to prison, and this is the demon that's in operation of a communication device, is monitoring while I'm in operation of my communication device, is a sex offender obsessed and worshiping my genitalia, doing so on behalf of the state of California, coming onto the grounds of AVANATH Capital Management's property to engage in the pattern of conduct in concert with demons like Tracy Banks, who this morning, before the fake sun is present over this apartment building, engineer light remains inside of the apartment. Okay, she's engaged in what is stalking in the path, stalking with light activity, and stalking with ongoing audible activity, and doing so with the people of the state, who have you seen this demon over the age of 55 present under the fake sun in the middle of the afternoon, and she is gang stalking in the morning under the fake sun, which the people of the state come onto the grounds to engage in. This is a demon that is likely operating a commercial vehicle. I captured the entity at Alvarado Gardens doing the same exact thing: access, transportation, gang stalking with the people of the state at Alvarado Gardens under the fake sun. The entity gang stalking with Uber, gang stalking with those that are over the age of 55, for example, coming and being picked up while they are gang stalking with the entity, and the fake sun is remaining, just like you see here. What is over Alvarado Gardens at 10:07 in the morning is not creating any light activity on the patio because the sun is in an entirely distinct location, and you're looking at what is the evidence of stalking. And it's this particular demon that's in the path, which is how you are understanding the intent to engage in a sex offense, monitoring an American citizen in a private space. And it's also in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. Everybody here at Woodside Senior Apartments is going to prison. This is documentation of what is impunity. And you've seen the same demon in Unit 42 under this fake sun over the same apartment building, which I'm going to show you now. It's over the same apartment building where it was at 8 o'clock this morning. And she is intentionally and anticipating my documentation, capturing it on video. And these are the psychopaths that provide evidence against themselves to the federal government, but putting all of them in federal prison. All right. Doing so with the in the specific environment. And so at 10:07 a.m., there's no sun that's going to be at this location where any sunlight's going to be the product where it's sitting stationary over me at Alvarado Gardens. There is also no sunlight that's going to result in what you see back here behind Tracy's furniture. There is engineer light that's just inexplicable light appearing while I'm subject to surveillance. And the demons like the demon in unit number 55, where engineer light's just appearing in the shade. I need you to understand what you're looking at here. These blinds are closed, and this is light that is appearing behind her furniture on the wall. So let me go back here, sorry. So you can see that. This is engineer light, while demons are at unit 42. Coming up and picking them up in means of transportation like Romana, medical transportation. They're gang stalking. They're doing so like Amazon Prime, coming and delivering packages. They're pacing under the fake sun and engineer light. They're gang stalking. This is not sunlight. This is plain evidence of what is surveillance that's underway in an apartment complex and inside of an apartment building. And the demons that act with impunity come right in the path to get on camera to engage in that. And the elderly at 55 and older are all going to prison for it. Okay, this is engineer light that's present inside of the apartment while I'm subject to surveillance. And the sound of the vehicle in the path under the fake sun is monitoring. This is the P.O.C. And everybody in units 33 through 64 are gang stalking with the sex offender operating a commercial vehicle. Innovage is gang stalking, and this is what the entity is doing. It's not distracting from the demons going to prison. This is what the state resorts to when you're prosecuting the people of the state. License YME X49, that's a New Jersey plate, 81864K3. These are the commercial actors gang stalking with the people of the state. Everybody in these buildings are going to prison, and they gang stalk with the entity. AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted because the people of the state and the government come onto the grounds, just like at Alvarado Gardens, to engage in the pattern of conduct. And this is what the entity is doing. As I turn and walk directions, the beeping resumes. Okay, so this is the fake sun that is not over Alvarado Gardens. That's speaking to the intent. And unit 42, you saw her gang stalking me in plain view, just like she is now, in the middle of the afternoon, and the fake sun is over the same building, and she's going to prison. All right, and this is how you're going to prosecute that entity that engages in that sort of impunity. That impunity is attributed to all of them over 55. Okay, walking on a cane with the demon socks, gang stalking with the people in a specific environment with impunity, and that's federal prison. Okay, she was gang stalking in the middle of the afternoon too, walking right out just like this demon is under the fake sun with the state that gang stalks in planes and helicopters. These are violent sex offenders. They are in violation of the Violence Against Women Act as well. So is Innovage. So are these commercial actors. They're all violating the Violence Against Women Act together while they're gang stalking with AVANATH Capital Management, with the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government that is operating a whole comprehensive system of gang stalking, which is why you have the impossible, that the sun would be stationary over me at the same time, which is not the natural environment. This is requiring that there be more than one sun, and that is not the case. Not only that, this is requiring that the sun is an idle object that would remain over units 33 through 48 in alignment to me where I'm at, because this is the same building where it's over at 8:09 in the morning. This is where, as you also are aware of, the entity is keeping the fake sun 2 hours later over the same apartment, where 3 hours, a 3 hour difference in Florida, for example, the sun is going to be seen over them in the sky space. That's how you know what INOVAGE is. They're domestic terrorists and they're violent sex offenders, and so are the elderly that they pick up. So are the demons that operate those vehicles, and they do so with impunity, anticipating that their criminal system is going to be documented. That's speaking to the psychopaths who are demon-possessed, gang stalking in the state of California. All right, this is the entity that is subject to what is prison in units 33 through 64, and all 144 units are going to be prosecuted for criminal surveillance at Woodside Senior Apartments, which is a crime scene. This is a facilitating venue and not a private residence. And AVANATH Capital Management prosecuted for what you're looking at, federal group stalking and monitoring on behalf of the state, doing so with the government with impunity, engaging in psychological torture, which this is also what you're witnessing, doing so with impunity, and doing so with knowledge of the fact that it's federal stalking, monitoring the evidence. These demons were sitting engaged in surveillance, waiting for me to start capturing video, and this is the pattern of conduct that I've already shown. This is also how you know this is because of the specific environment, because there is no sun that's going to be stationary idle, which this is where it remains, because that's how I captured it in the middle of the afternoon yesterday, where I just captured it right now walking to the end of the building, and this is where the fake sun is present at the end of the day, at the same location. So as I open the blinds at the same apartment, this is where the fake sun is. We're in INOVAGE is gang stalking right now, 3:33 p.m. The fake sun is still over this same apartment complex. INOVAGE is a documented gang stalker as well. They are facilitating state surveillance, they're facilitating sexual violence, and they are adding to time in prison for the people of the state that are living at Woodside Senior Apartments, not distracting from the criminal conduct that the people of the state living at the crime scene engage in. But this is the desperate acts by the state that acts with impunity. That's what that's prosecuted as. All right, this is what the elderly at Alvarado Gardens engaged in, gang stalking under the fake sun and engineered light on their canes, on their walkers, with the demons that are driving their commercial vehicles, doing so with impunity, engaging in a sex offense in plain sight. All right, because that's what this is, a sex offender, and this is federal prison for units 33 through 64. It is currently 10:16 a.m. All right, this is the entity that is gang stalking and doing so. This is not the product of sunlight, where the sun is stationary over Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. Neither is the sun going to create sunlight while you're mindful of what is gang stalking by the elderly at Woodside. Can't pay their rent, gang stalking with the government, doing so with impunity, and doing so while engineered light is piercing through a peephole. Okay, that's not sunlight either. Neither is the sun one that's going to be idle over one building until after 3:30 in the afternoon. That's the pattern of conduct. These are the same demons where earthquakes are happening inside of the apartment, ongoing stalking with amplified noise, ongoing loud booming, and this is what you see cross path under a fake sun. All right, and that's doing so with commercial actors like these demons here. And that's the state of California that's going to be prosecuted for the statewide system of federal group stalking and monitoring. They incriminate the entire state. All right, it is currently, again, 10:17 a.m. When you're looking at that pattern of conduct, there is nothing that is occurring in the specific environment that supersedes the pattern of conduct, and that's how you have the supernatural of a fake sun, and you have what is concentrated focused on me, all manner of conduct outside, because these same demons that worship my genitalia are aware of the fact, reviewing what it is that I'm looking at on my phone, and are in position ready to engage in what is activity creation that does not aid the demons who are going to prison at Woodside Senior Apartments. And it is also collectively attributed to the impunity of that entire entity and high malice. This is how an entity is engaged in what is malicious murder and what is kidnapping. And this is on behalf of the corrupt police department that's being disbanded. This is on behalf of the corrupt airport that's being shut down. This is on behalf of the corrupt mayor, that demon that worships my genitalia as well, hiding behind the form of what is a pastor. He is no such pastor. He's a criminal and he's a sex offender, engaging in criminal surveillance in the city of Ontario with the demon-possessed population, doing so with knowledge of the fact that it's being documented. This is not sunlight either, okay? That's speaking to the malice, how far the demon-possessed go to fail at. It's no longer persuasive. You know exactly what you just witnessed right now, and this is ongoing desperation that I continuously am surrounded by and that I'm continuously subject to. The demon in unit number 55, she is the one that is acting with regard to the ongoing exposure to amplified audible activity. The demon with license 5WUB715, who you see at the same exact apartment building after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that fake sun is sitting right over the same exact apartment building where you see INOVAGE and demons driving these trucks, while a fake sun remains right over this building right here. This is where the fake sun is idle from the beginning until the end of the day, where you see them gang stalking in this parking lot right here, doing so with the means of the elements of monitoring, where the fake sun remains over one specific building in alignment to my location at apartment number 51 at Woodside Senior Apartments. And at no time is this one building coexisting with what I documented, which is the light source, the sun, being over me at 10:07 in the morning. That's competing with the maintenance of an idle light source over these apartment buildings, where you're looking at the people of the state coming onto the grounds of what is AVANATH Capital Management, who's being prosecuted in real time. And it's also being prosecuted for psychological torture. It's also being prosecuted for the impunity and malice with which it's exhibiting, while the government and the people of the state are in the shoes of the government, come onto the grounds to engage in ongoing gang stalking, because that's exactly what Innovage and the gang stalkers in the large black truck and the demons in units 33 through 64, pacing by the demon of 42, pacing by the demon on the cane. They're all monitoring, they're crossing path and engineer light, collectively maintaining the elements of monitoring. While they're anticipating, they're sitting up monitoring what's going on my phone. These demons were in position, ready to engage in what is activity creation, having no ability to engage in anything other than what looks like gang stalking on its face. Satan never, in other words, prepared for what is the ability to disprove that they're doing anything other than gang stalking, that they're practicing anything other than witchcraft, that they are anything other than demon possessed and highly malicious and psychopathic actors. Because that's exactly what you are when you put yourself on camera and you're gang stalking illegally. It's civil and criminal liability for gang stalking landlords, who shall be removed from participation in federal housing programs like AVANATH Capital Management, who will be faced with federal prison time, units 33 through 64. All right, acting with the impunity that I just documented, gang stalking with the population, doing so coming onto the grounds while they are stalking in the path, while a fake sun remains idle over me at this venue, which is a supernatural occurrence, prefacing what is a pattern of conduct that the government is engaged in, a massive experiment that centers around me, and they are all worshiping my genitalia. This is a massive sex offense, and sex offenders that engage in this level of impunity coming onto the grounds, failing at looking like they're doing anything but gang stalking, but that's the purpose of having all the trucks and all the activity creation under a fake sun in engineered light in anticipation of me capturing more video. When they continuously decide, which this is what the federal government is prosecuting the state for, every gang stalking police officer is going to be faced with federal prison with the impunity that I just documented again. Okay, every gang stalking public official that has anything to do with criminal defamation, seeking to kidnap and conspiring to murder me and profit from it, their time in federal prison is also going to be enhanced with regard to this ongoing impunity that I just documented right now by an entity. The entity that is gang stalking with regard to AVANATH Capital Management as a corrupt landlord, a domestic enemy, a threat to American citizens throughout the state of California at every property where they are managing. That is necessarily removing them from the ability to participate in federal housing programs, and literally removing what is this scene of corruption, where no of the demons that are living at Woodside are going to be able to qualify under the Violence Against Women Act, meaning they're not going to qualify for housing benefits at all. And neither are they going to be able to remain at this property, and neither shall AVANATH Capital Management be able to be a provider for such federal housing benefits. And justice also requires that this property be shut down altogether. Okay, but I want to be clear, that is all relevant from what you just witnessed while the entity comes onto the grounds of a crime scene. No landlord is going to escape civil and criminal liability while the government engages in that through the people. And the government does so in that very specific environment. And not only, I want to be clear, is the fake sun remaining over me at 10:07 a.m. on this day in 2024. The entity, as I showed you, at 8 o'clock in the morning, this is where the demons are gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments in anticipation, monitoring everything on my phone, and doing so, everyone can clearly identify the fact that these are demons that are gang stalking while they are under the fake sun 2 hours later, which is a scientific phenomenon. There's no sun on the East Coast, for example. There's no sun in Texas. There's no sun in Florida or in New York or in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is speaking to the specific environment that corrupt businesses like Innovage, who admits to being sex offenders and engage in admits to being those who actually despise Americans, who enforce their rights, which is what I represent, while they willingly come onto the ground and aid in federal group stalking and monitoring against a woman, a sex offense against a woman, psychological torture against a woman whom they know is documenting it to enforce her rights, and they willingly do so and maliciously do so to help the murderous, sex offending gang stalkers who are conspiring with the state at Woodside Senior Apartments coming onto the grounds, because that's what they're engaging in while the elements of monitoring are underway. The superseding facts are the supernatural occurrence of this light source that's remaining stationary over an apartment building, not the fact that they're carrying blankets and furniture and on walkers while they're walking around pacing under a fake sun and engineered light. Okay, the entity not only keeps this fake sun over Alvarado Gardens for the duration of the day, I'm showing what is all manner of engineered light inside of the apartment. And what I documented yesterday, not only is a fake sun over this apartment building like I showed, this is where it remains, and this is how I'm able to capture it after 4 o'clock in the evening. This is the same living room that I just stepped out of right now. So this is, again, I want to be clear, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:02 in the afternoon. This is the same living room window right here. The same living room window where the fake sun is in front of this same apartment. And this is the same apartment where you're looking at demons gang stalking through commercial means. Every business in the state of California is engaged in federal stalking in violation of Title 18. They do so with impunity. This is what Access was doing at Alvarado Gardens, coming up and picking up the people. Uber, Lyft, coming onto the grounds, delivering food, delivering groceries. Even as I ordered food, the entity was coming onto the grounds and gang stalking me and coming to my apartment. This is the P.O.C. on an ongoing basis and helping gang stalkers like AVANATH Capital Management do so. I want to make sure that it is clear that the entity does so while monitoring every ounce of documentation that is captured. This same fake sun that's over in front of this same living room window is the same living room window where it remains in alignment to me while the blinds are closed after 4 o'clock in the evening, which is not the natural environment. This is identifying the pattern of conduct where the entity is maliciously stalking someone and doing so in a way that is supposed to be above suspicion, where the entity that is doing so is in a position that it intends to falsely depict that targeted individual, which never, ordinary targeted individual is never getting this deep into the fact pattern of the state. But I want to be clear, the fact pattern, the pattern of conduct itself is designed to falsely depict that targeted individual. This is not working, it's unpersuasive. And you're looking at all the commercial means of gang stalking. Innovage, AVANATH Capital Management, the so-called moving company. The elderly can move wherever they want. They're going to prison. She can move into a home in Highland, California. She's going to be dragged out of that home. She's going to prison. All right. And that goes for every single last one of them, including those at Alvarado Gardens who were engaging in what is gang stalking in furtherance of murder and moving away in the same way that murdering me and burying me under the ground 6 feet under does not remove the fact that you were engaged in that crime, and moving away does not remove the fact that you engaged in that criminal system, which is in furtherance of malicious murder. You are going to federal prison. And while they use the presence of these third parties on the property, they are gang stalking still. Okay, they are criminally facilitating the P.O.C. in furtherance of murder and kidnapping still. Everyone in units 33 through 64 are going to prison. They live at a crime scene and they exhibit malice while doing so. And they did it in anticipation, because everything happening on my devices is under surveillance, which the state has already proven. So you are understanding why you're going to federal prison. The very people of the state, their businesses, their properties are the criminal means of the government that is keeping American citizens under surveillance. And you go to prison for that. Linda Reyes is gang stalking. You see the employee of unit number 41 gang stalking. And he is going to federal prison, and every other adult in that household is going to prison with him. Not only is the fake sun in alignment, I just want to make sure that you are mindful of the fact that this is where the fake sun is while I am capturing it at 2:15 in the afternoon. This is literally the placement of the fake sun as I just walked out of the apartment right now to the parking lot where Innovage and the large black truck are located. The fake sun remains all day long. And under no circumstances is what is, let me show you the time here, is what is remaining at Alvarado Gardens, that which is going to remain as contrary to what I document for the duration of the day. So with regard to, again, as I'm showing end of day analysis, I just want to show you, this is time of year analysis, same time of day, same time of year analysis. Never is the sun piercing through a peephole. This is what I'm documenting. And then you have the engineer light on the side of the wall. Nothing that you're doing, picking up and dropping off elderly people, walking on a walker, wearing a uniform, moving out of the apartment building is changing the fact that you are gang stalking, and you do so maliciously. And I want to make sure that it's clear the level of malice when you have the fake sun rise and set at one apartment building. This is, yeah, what I documented on video yesterday. This is where the fake sun is remaining over the apartment building. I captured video regarding this the other day, but I have documentation again at 4:06 p.m. This is, the entity has the fake sun in the same position like I just showed you images of after 4 p.m. through the same living room window where I'm sitting in this living room right now, where Innovage is proving to the world how much of a domestic threat it is. But Innovage represents what every business in California is engaged in. This is massive public corruption that has been unearthed with regard to the state of California and Tracy Banks's effort to conspire to murder me and falsely depict my character in doing so. In other words, psychological torture to the extent to where they could murder me and then claim that I killed myself because I was so mentally disturbed the entire time, which is why you have a paper trail of kidnapping and criminal defamation by the entity. This is the purpose behind the elderly at Woodside Senior Apartments gang stalking with commercial actors who come onto the ground. This is not serving their means. This is serving for criminal prosecution of this third-party gang stalker, Innovage. They will be prosecuted. This is the federal prosecution of the third party whose license plate I've documented. They're engaged in criminal facilitation and they are maliciously making money while doing so. This is in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and it is also a basis to remove those businesses from existence altogether. You don't have any constitutionally protected right to target American citizens and engage in domestic terrorism, because that's what it is. All right. And they do so with knowledge. They do so while engaged in Title 18, Section 2261A, federal stalking. They were in position, ready to engage in what is being in perfect alignment to me, where a fake sun sits over the building for over 9 hours as I began capturing video while I'm reviewing what is it that I'm going to compare in order to prosecute these demons with today? They were already monitoring in position, and you already know that because of the specific environment which defies nature. That is speaking to knowledge. That is speaking to a forethought. That is speaking to intent. All right. There is no ignorant conduct happening under that supernatural occurrence. There is no accident. There are no coincidences. All right. This is ongoing obsessive and psychotic stalking. And this is occurring again where the entity is keeping this fake sun. I just want to be clear with regard to the bigger picture. AVANATH Capital Management, Units 33 through 64 all going to prison for what I just documented again on video. They like to engage in what is psychological torture. While again, the demon you see on a walker, these are the demons, the likes of where ongoing earthquake-like conduct is heard inside of the apartment. This is psychological torture that a corporate actor, AVANATH Capital Management, is going to be prosecuted for. That a government actor, the city of Ontario, the state of California, is going to be prosecuted for. And everybody living at the venue is going to be removed from the venue. And the ones in units 33 through 64 are going to prison. Okay. All right. I want to show what is the maintenance of the specific environment, as I've even shown different angles of what is under all circumstances the specific environment while the fake sun is remaining over me, as I documented. This is at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, where the entity has, again, this is the sunset. Let me move that so you can see it. This is the sunset at the same location where I'm showing you the fake sun at 10:07 in the morning. This is, again, comparable to what I'm documenting here. This is the same exact pattern of conduct, and this is requiring that there be more than one sun. And there is nothing with regard to what has been revealed to us regarding the so-called natural environment. There's nothing natural about the environment. This is revealing the demon-possessed. This is revealing the reality of Satan, and Satan who uses people. All right. And while the fake sun is setting in alignment to me, and as I captured a plethora of screenshots, you will pay attention to how the entity is engaging what is a grand deviation of where it's going to set its fake sun. To the left of this tree or to the right of this tree, based on what it is that I document. And I'm documenting under all circumstances, it's the P.O.C. because it's not the natural environment. I'm also scrutinizing and further corroborating what is the scientific phenomenon that the fake sun and the fake sunset, which is speaking to stalkers, sex offenders that surround, who are demon possessed and who are desperate psychopaths like corporate actors Innovage and AVANATH Capital Management LLC demonstrate as corrupt corporate actors made up of psychopaths and sex offenders profiting off of the state's criminal system, the organized system of gang stalking. The state of California seeks to profit from it. You will be subject to damages that are designed to devastate. All right. And that is also federal prison with regard to the facts and circumstances. Everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to prison. Everybody at Woodside Senior Apartments in units 33 through 64 are going to federal prison. And they are surrounded by this body of evidence where there is a sunset at the same location where I'm showing you on this day in 2020. 2024, the entity is keeping a fake sun over me while I'm remaining what is the at the Woodside Senior Apartments at the same time. Okay, so this is understanding what is the P.O.C. So what is over me at this time in the morning. This is what's the circumstance at Alvarado Gardens. And so I've shown this over and over again. I want to make sure that we are aware. And so while I'm on here, I'm going to go ahead and just well, it is prosecuting, but I'm going to go ahead and document while I am on here what is the this is Innovage, that is gang stalking. Innovage is a third party. Innovage is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring with the people of the state. I've been documenting Innovage. This is not the first time that they've been engaged in the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaged in what are the criminal elements of monitoring, doing so with regard to the elements of light activity, relevant positioning, and audible activity, which is what they're also doing through the use of these commercial vehicles, while they're engaged in federal stalking under Title 18 as well. The entity is engaged in the unprecedented ways of violating the Violence Against Women Act under 34 U.S.C. Section 12291, while they come onto the grounds of AVANATH Capital Management, a HUD-regulated property, to engage in the P.O.C. with the entity that lives and works at the venue. They're going to prison, and doing so, they come onto the ground to aid in that criminal engagement of the pattern of conduct with knowledge of the fact that an American citizen subject to it. While an entity is, in other words, conspiring to murder and kidnap me, I am enforcing my rights, and the entity is further enhancing that threat by gang stalking and doing so on video. Again, as though the state is going to tell the federal government that I will, under all circumstances, never relent in targeting this American citizen. That's exactly what the state just did again. They just did that again. I want to make sure that I document the corporate actor. Innovage is nothing other than a third party. And they are engaged in the pattern of conduct as a corrupt actor. This is the state of California acting through a corrupt actor. All right, they're subject to civil and criminal prosecution. And the driver, okay, these employees, these third parties that are operating these third party company vehicles, in other words, you're talking about what is a prosecution for those demons. Oh, well, and then you're going to prosecute the business itself. It's like the heavily documented gang stalker operating an Amazon vehicle. Amazon is heavily documented gang stalking at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments in Ontario, gang stalking while I'm on the roads and the highways in Costa Mesa, California, where the fake sun is remaining over me. Okay. This is, again, showing what is the bigger picture. Amazon Prime is a corrupt business. It's a corrupt entity. It's a part of the corrupt entity that is commercially profiting while engaged in the state of California's system of targeting American citizens, and they knowingly and intentionally and continuously do so. Okay, that's what's relevant, and that is exposing what Innovage is doing. It's exposing the entire state, showing the malice of the entity that is gang stalking on an ongoing basis. So I want to make sure that I document that. This is the entity that is keeping, this is the entity that is keeping this pattern of conduct underway. This is engineer light that's on the inside. This is engineer light that's reaching underneath a patio structure. This is doing so while the engineer light is remaining on the inside, all manner of surveillance, while they're monitoring my genitalia. While they do so, while they're gang stalking coming onto the grounds, these same demons are admitted sex offenders because they're also monitoring and worshiping my genitalia. They also know when my legs are spread apart. They also know when I'm indisposed, in the same way that they demonstrate an ongoing desire and purpose and determination to gang stalk in the face of the federal government documenting it. Okay, this is P.O.C. Just want to go ahead and get this really quick. While Innovage is gang stalking with the people of the state, with those over the age of 55, in the readily identifiable specific environment where the fake sun is speaking to the maintenance of an environment that defies nature, defies common sense. And this is how you have what is, again, not only is the fake sun idle at this venue, but the fake sun is that which is also idle in Los Angeles, and not this idle light source over my head. And while I'm remaining inside of apartment number 51, it's remaining idle over my head at the units 33 through 48, where this demon number in unit number 42 is gang stalking with malice. Okay, doing so while at the end of the day, after 3:30 in the afternoon, that fake sun is over that same apartment building, and this demon over 55, she can move wherever she wants because she will be moving into a federal cell. She's going to prison. All right, and she acts with impunity with the entity. with the entity. That's who's gang stalking. That's who's coming onto the ground. That's who's gang stalking while engineer light is filling the kitchen. It's concentrated onto the wall right here, this rainbow colored circle right here, and it moves all around on the wall throughout the day. This is the engineer light where you're coming onto the ground and dropping people and picking people off. You're gang stalking. You are also engaged in federal stalking while you knew that I was on my phone preparing to capture evidence, and you have the audacity to provide more evidence, get on camera, as though the state government is going to, in the face of the federal government, tell the feds that we're going to continue gang stalking because that's the state of California, and you're going to prosecute Innovage as well, but that's the state of California, and that's every demon inside of Unit 33 through 64 who are going to prison for it. Understand that this is a crime committed by an entity, and the entity acts with impunity that shall be noted when they are prosecuted. When they are prosecuted in federal court. It is again 10:39 a.m. This is documentation of not only federal group stalking and monitoring, as you compare what is under no circumstances sunlight that you see illuminating, shooting through the depths of an apartment in Ontario, California, on its face. This is not sunlight, and neither is that the sun that is still over the same apartment building, as I've shown through this video, well after 3:30 in the afternoon, and also aimed in alignment to the same apartment building with the same engineer light inside of this apartment after 4 o'clock in the evening. And then you have the juxtaposition of a crime scene where you're looking at what also is not the natural environment, speaking to what is a pattern of conduct relevant to all those who are present, including commercially, to engage in the criminal elements of monitoring, which is a sex offense. Companies shall be prosecuted as sex offenders. They shall be prosecuted as domestic terrorists, and it is not going to be good for business. Okay? It is currently, again, 10:40 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently, I just want to document the city of Ontario physically coming onto the grounds. Okay, I just wanted to go ahead because the demons seconds ago, I'm documenting presence, criminal presence, in the same way that Universal Waste Systems heavily documented gang stalking at Alvarado Gardens under the fake sun, engineer lights swiping all across building 1818 North Alvarado Street while they would drive in and out of the parking lot, engineer light appearing on my bedroom walls while I'm on the 3rd floor in the dark and they're driving out of the parking lot in the dark. This is what the city of Ontario is engaging in while the sound of crashing dumpsters is occurring while they are at the entrance facing G Street. And you will see that captured in images at approximately 10:46 a.m. before they are even approaching this dumpster, which is again, not the guise under which loud crashing dumpsters is going to interfere with quiet enjoyment and create any sort of disruption inside of the apartment such that it's so loud that it's competing with the television inside of the apartment. That's amplification. However, I want to be clear, you will see in images what is criminal presence by the city of Ontario, that's the government, that is engaging in an admitted sex offense and criminally facilitating sexual violence and domestic terrorism, criminal stalking under the Violence Against Women Act, and psychological torture with regard to also technical abuse while the entire entity is engaged in federal stalking. The demons that are driving the city of Ontario dumpster trucks, they act with impunity and they are systematically gang stalking. And I've documented personally the demon, the Latino male that appears gang stalking. You're talking about what is federal prison, but then again, this is an aspect of the pattern of conduct where the entity is going to produce its own identity for purposes of imprisonment. Okay, but I want to be clear, at 10:46 a.m., ongoing psychological torture through the criminal interference of quiet enjoyment through the city itself. That's the government. That's the removal of the sex offender worshiping my genitalia, going by the name of Mayor Paul Leon, whose entire office is a demon-possessed one, in criminalizing, systematically monitoring with the people of the state. A criminal system is systematically underway through every function of the municipality, including the demon-possessed psychopaths that are driving dumpster trucks throughout the city. They are emptying the garbage under the fake sun that remains idle over the demons going to prison in units 33 through 64. This is exactly what the third-party group stalker Innovage engages in while they are pacing in the parking lot under an idle light source over the same exact building where it remains at the end of the day until sunset. And I am comparing in video for purposes of prosecuting the entire state, showing what is not only a phenomenon, but a pattern of conduct where you are able to recognize it on its face through that environment which defies nature, science, logic, common sense. All right. And the entity is doing so while they are aware of what you're capturing on my devices, because they are criminally keeping me under surveillance online and on my devices. Paul Leon exhibits impunity. As a domestic terrorist leader who is monitoring the evidence I collect about him every time I reference his name, not only is it a threat by a government actor to gang stalk through the population, to psychologically torture via that gang stalking population, but then in real time, as again, I capture evidence and the government itself, a government actor, which again, where the entity is gang stalking maliciously through a population, a corrupt population, where public corruption in other words is underway, domestic terrorists are threatening your life, your safety, and your well-being while they do so through demons that drive what are dumpster trucks that are belong to the municipality. That's exactly what Paul Leon is not ignorant about, and Paul Leon is accountable for it, in the same way that Alan D. WAPNER is accountable for the demons flying in commercial airline planes over this senior citizen complex, where all of the demons in units 33 through 64 are going to prison for it. All they do is maintain presence while the entity comes onto the ground to maintain teamwork with regard to criminal elements of monitoring, and they're all demons providing evidence against themselves. You're going to prison, and you're going to prison for a prolonged term. So I want to be clear. This is Paul Leon's statement regarding how he truly feels about the Constitution, about American citizens enforcing their rights into the Constitution, about sexual violence and your right to not be subject to it by him, by his office, by those that are under his leadership in an entirely corrupt system, such as what the city of Ontario is maintaining and engaging in with impunity. This ongoing chaotic environment is a criminal interference with quiet enjoyment that AVANATH Capital Management shall be civilly and criminally liable for as well. But I want to make sure that I document that, because in the images captured, you will see me pointing at the same gang stalkers that are acting as an entity, not just the African-American female with the balding head over 55 in Unit 42, and the Latino male that's gang stalking with her. All they're doing is pacing while they're emptying out her apartment. Pacing while demons like the city of Ontario are the means of amplified audible activity. Pacing while federal stalking by an entire government is underway. Pacing while a fake sun remains idle over the venue for the duration of the day. Those are psychopaths. Satan is pacing. Satan is wearing their bodies, in other words, while they are pacing and monitoring me, which is stalking. Okay, the entity is doing so on an ongoing basis, and doing so while the government knows that it is being documented. And since the government is at such a tremendous disregard. Okay, and this is because of the training of with regard to the prolonged period of time that criminals like Paul Leon have gotten away with it, like criminals like the Ontario Police Department, Derek Williams, and now Mike Lorenz have gotten away with it. They need retraining by prolonged time in federal prison. Okay, that's going to correct that. Okay, so every gang stalking police officer is going to be subject to federal prison, and it is relevant, the impunity that they exhibit while the demons are still gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, still gang stalking with the gang stalkers of the Ontario International Airport, with the office of Paul Leon, with the demons that are living at the crime scene of Woodside Senior Apartments, the demons that are the same entity gang stalking in Los Angeles, California. This is one entity. They are adding on to federal time in prison. They are hurting themselves while they communicate to the feds that which no state government will ever communicate in reality, that you refuse to stand down and cease engaging in what is domestic terrorism in the United States of California. That's what the delusional psychopaths and sex offenders that surround me continuously communicate in a specific environment, and that is legally relevant. So this is what I want to make sure that I document. You're looking at the city of Ontario that does not have a legal right to engage in any business in the city because it's criminal conduct. It's maliciously underway. And they do so at the time that they do while they're monitoring me. Federal stalking is underway while you come and empty the garbage under the fake sun, and it's amplified in volume. All right. And they're doing so with regard to impunity. Impunity. Okay, that's the impunity of the entire state. Every angle of the criminal system that an entity practices is going to be used against that entity. And that entity's crime, that entity's entire criminal system is going on to the ledger, if you will, of those demons who will by name be held accountable under law. Okay, so I want to make sure that that's clear. It's currently 10:54 a.m. where the city of Ontario comes onto the grounds, engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, maliciously underway as a municipality, is criminally facilitating that pattern of conduct and doing so while presenting its services in the city as a means of what is lawful or authorized, and it's not. It is the systematic means of gang stalking by the city of Ontario, and that's malice and impunity. Okay, it is 10:54 a.m. You will reference those images that are captured, and the same demons in units 33 through 64 are going to prison for it, and AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted. AVANATH Capital Management's ability to remain as an existing landlord in Ontario, California is what is at stake, and also AVANATH Capital Management's ability to participate in federal housing programs is what is at stake, and the ability to do so at every other property where it is a threat to American citizens, including the demons that are gang stalking. Okay, we're talking about what are principles here. The corrupt business itself, not the fact that the corrupt business is acting in concert with the demons who are gang stalking with that business. Okay, you're talking about the principle, and the business itself shall cease to exist. Never mind the fact that the property is filled with demons that are gang stalking with that business under the name of that business. And legally, that's what's happening because you're on the business grounds. You're doing it through the employees of that business. That business itself is gang stalking through the people that are living on the property grounds. They're profiting through those demons who pay rent. All right. So this is just speaking to how you're going to prosecute, and this entire system is being imploded thereby. So I want to make sure that I speak to that. It's 10:55 a.m. This is while I am capturing screenshots. This is, again, obstruction of justice as well, because I'm capturing screenshots. I'm capturing up close images of the very sex offenders. I don't even have to do this. I don't have to capture up close screenshots of people. It's not going to be some sort of evidence that's going to be missed by the federal government if I don't go through and get the screenshots. And this is why, oh no, we have to be even louder. Let's bring in the dumpster truck. Let's create loud crashing noise with the dumpsters because she's capturing screenshots of the demon in unit 42. I don't even have to do that. I don't have to do that. He's going to be prosecuted. The commercial actors are going to be prosecuted. Everybody in units 33 through 64 are going to prison. Linda Reyes is going to federal prison, and every gang stalking employee. And if any of them are not natural born citizens, they're also going to be deported. I don't have to capture up close screenshots, but I am. And as I do that, it's criminal obstruction of justice. But I just want to be clear, the demons, these short-sighted, intellectually inept demons who are perpetually behind me. That's literally why they're stalking. They are behind me. Okay. They are unaware of what they are doing to themselves. Whether I capture, but I want to be clear because I'm documenting criminal obstruction. While I'm capturing screenshots of the mugs of these demons, these violent sex offenders who worship my genitalia in the same way that they are in position, ready to stalk and pace around in the path into the fake sun, the moment that I press record, they're also monitoring my genitalia when my legs are spread. And I will continuously remind you of the sex offenders that they are, because that's exactly what they are. And that's the part that they don't want you to think about. That's the part that they don't want you to remember. While you are very mindful of it, it is at the core of what you are looking at while they're pacing around under a fake sun like the cockroaches that they are. Everyone sees what they are and what they're doing. It's called malice. And you are always mindful of the fact that they are obsessed with what's between my legs. Don't you ever forget it. That's why they're going to prison for it. Okay? It is currently, again, 10:57 a.m. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:45 a.m. on Friday, February 21st, 2025. This is just follow-up documentation. I remain subject to a ceaseless pattern of conduct that is committed by a corrupt government. That is the state of California. And the state of California is engaging in a corrupt government system in concert with the people of the state who are not private citizens. These are state actors. These are government actors who are maliciously engaging in the government's criminal system of terrorizing American citizens. And it is ordinarily referred to as gang stalking. So as I remain subject to this, I want to document, again, 11:45 a.m. right now, amplified booming inside of the apartment. 11:31 a.m., amplified boom, loud booming, earthquake-like conduct inside of the apartment. At 11:17 a.m., a loud boom inside of the apartment. At 11:15 a.m., a loud boom inside of the apartment. At 11:13 a.m., this is another loud boom inside of the apartment, earthquake-like conduct that is amplifying, centering in sound. And you see the video and the images that's showing all manner of light, which is impossible to ever naturally occur, impossible to ever just manifest out of nowhere where the sun is outside of the building, impossible to be sunlight when you have seen the phenomenon of that, which is a light source sitting idle over a building, a specific building at a venue, Woodside Senior Apartment. Specifically, it's the third to the last building. It's got 4 consecutive buildings lined up, and the third building to the last one. I'm in the last building, units what would be 49 through 64, and over building 33 through 48, where the fake sun is directly in my face, if you will, over my head, in alignment from rise, quote unquote, rise, until quote unquote set. And this is again over 9 hours. This is the pattern of conduct where sex offenders and stalkers surround. And these are demon possessed people. Okay, so while I remain subject to this system that is entirely the criminal conduct of the state, the people of the state that are gang stalking with the government, they're going to learn by going to federal prison on behalf of the government that it's gang stalking with. And they're doing so at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is a facilitating venue having no constitutional protections whatsoever. Neither do the state actors that are living and working at the facilitating venue. Neither do, as I captured in video, the commercial actors, such as the corrupt business Innovage, such as the corrupt so a little mom and pop business in the black painted truck with the New Jersey license plate, gang stalking with the people of the state. So I want to be clear. This is the P.O.C. and this ongoing criminal interference with quiet enjoyment is tethered to the specific environment that is showing what is criminal surveillance that is intended to psychologically torture the one whom the government is targeting in furtherance of ultimately murdering and kidnapping that person. And so while the entity is engaged in this criminal pattern of conduct, it is keeping every aspect of one's life under surveillance. That includes what I do on communication devices, what I'm doing on the internet. And so how is this legally relevant? Not only because that's unlawful under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 4, but because it's unlawful regarding coloring the state's criminal activity. And this is the government that is aware of the fact that the one whom they're targeting is documenting in order to enforce their constitutional rights against not being subject to domestic terrorism by the government, not being subject to the predators who are sex offenders stalking, and doing so with an ongoing determination which commercial actors like Innovage exhibit. All right, they're doing so while they are in anticipation. These demons were sitting in the vehicles already in position, waiting for me to start recording. As I'm perusing through my wealth of documentation in the Google Drive, and I'm looking, oh, what am I going to use today? Because I have that much evidence. Okay. And as I look for, let's do 1007, they're already in position. These salivating, sex offending demons, these stalkers are in position with regard to using a means of engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. Putting a logo on a vehicle is nothing other than exposing a corrupt business for civil and criminal prosecution. And you have yet another psychopath that's jumping up and down. Me, prosecute me for terrorism in the United States. That's what psychopaths do. This is the demon possessed who show obsession. That's obsession executed. That is how obsession is working out, while the demon possessed are together stalking as strangers, one person, and putting any and everything at risk and sacrificing all of it to continuously engage in that. And big picture, the state government is continuously communicating to the federal government that which no state government in the U.S. is ever going to successfully convey, that you will engage in domestic terrorism in this country, and that you're going to tell the federal government that you're not going to stop doing it, because that's exactly what was underway, what I documented in video. And while I'm inside, and I'm notably capturing fake sun screenshots, comparing it to what's documented in the sky space over my head in the same position that it is in Ontario at Woodside Senior Apartments at the same time even. And also getting, for example, specifically, I'm getting the fake sun that is a documented presence. It's documented presence. It's at Woodside Senior Apartments. And then I'm getting what is a distinct method of identifying surveillance, because engineer light, rainbow light shooting like a laser through the peephole. And then I'm reminding you about who's outside, because that's how you're understanding and recognizing stalkers. And it is Innovage. License plate 81864K3. This is a gang stalker that's acting with Woodside Senior Apartments, a facilitating venue. The entire venue, filled with 144 units, and all occupied units are filled with gang stalkers who are going to be federally prosecuted. Innovage is criminally facilitating that act of terrorism by a facilitating venue. And Innovage intentionally and knowingly, maliciously and deliberately does so. Okay, that's serving for the prosecution of that corrupt business. But the demons that are physically surrounding on a 24-hour basis, which includes the entire venue, all 144 units are physically surrounding. They're all in relevant position. In the same way that the 7-Eleven at 636 North Vine Avenue across the street is in relevant position. Federal prison is reserved for those that are physically surrounding, aiding in the ongoing criminal interference with quiet and judgment, stalking by pacing and engineer light all around, intended to psychologically torture, stalking with ongoing amplified noise while monitoring evidence under the fake sun in engineered light at day and at night, with the intent to psychologically torture those that are, in other words, inside of the units 33 through 48 and 49 through 64. They're all going to federal prison. The employees of AVANATH Capital Management at Woodside Senior Apartments, the intolerable level of facilitation by working at a crime scene, which they are knowingly doing so. The entity is not ignorant about the fake sun. In the same way, the entity is not ignorantly engaging in what is a strict code of conduct, a pattern of conduct. You're not ignorantly engaging in a pattern. That's speaking to, yeah, they're all connected. They're all acting together. It is that serious that a government would have this level of concern about an innocent American citizen. And this is the work of Satan that is using people who are all demon possessed, and they're engaging in a demonic behavioral pattern, and they're doing it in a demonic environment. This is tying all of it together. And this is a matter of fact that is supported with evidence, tangible, and that which is to be presented in a federal court. None of this is just commentary, and I'm just speaking without this is the significance of that fake sun, and then the ongoing evidence of what is that psychological torture. And so this is, again, the demons that are operating the black truck that with the New Jersey license plate YMEX49, operated by the third parties. These are men. They appear to be Latino men. Those are not men. Latino males. The one that I have up close images of, gang stalking with the elderly, the African-American female with the bald head. She is gang stalking, as you'll also see in screenshots, after 3:30 in the afternoon. And that's speaking to the malice of those who live at the crime scene, gang stalking with those who come onto the grounds of the crime scene. And you're supposed to be distracted by the fact that they're picking up elderly people. These elderly people serve Satan. They salivate and they worship my genitalia. They are elderly people with regard to what is disgusting, actually. They have decades and decades of practice engaging in the wicked, engaging in what is perverted, engaging in what is targeting American citizens. That's what's relevant about how old they are, because they're going to be treated like every other monster under federal law. They are outside in relevant positions, stalking with noise. The same, again, license plate YMEX49, engaging in ongoing sex offenders, communicating to the feds. We're going to continuously engage in what is sexual violence, and they're doing so under federal law that they're violating. So again, this is speaking to the homelessness that's going to result from the displacement of all the entity that is living at Woodside Senior Apartments, units 1 through 144, the loss of employment because nobody is remaining employed at Woodside Senior Apartments. This domestic terrorism is going to be entirely broken down and destroyed with regard to that federal prosecution as well. AVANATH Capital Management, as a domestic terrorist, as a sex offender, as one employing psychological torture while it is being documented, and that is evident through the gang stalking of the people of the state. So as you're documenting a landlord where you're subject to this criminal system and the people of the state and the government continuously gang stalks you, that corporate actor is held liable for ongoing criminal acts against you intending to obstruct justice. And this is having the interest of the entity that has competing interests. The gang stalker that owns the company that's monitoring, the gang stalker that's the government actor that will continue that P.O.C, the gang stalker with the demons that live and need somewhere to remain and somebody to pay their rent. They all have competing interests in federal court, and that is causing that entity to prosecute itself as well, as I document all angles of that P.O.C. This is documentation just speaking to what is the psychological torture while amplified loud booming noises are repeating inside of the unit while I'm documenting screenshots for further analysis and analysis regarding what you can look at what's going on at 3:30 in the afternoon. Days before, where this same demon in unit 42 that is crossing paths, she's stalking with activity, meaning this demon is on a walker, okay, but she's energetic enough to stalk in the path with simultaneity to my opening the blinds in order to capture that fake sun. She's not coincidentally there. This is a demon that lies in wait. In the same way that innovages are demons, they were lying in wait. And at the moment that I start capturing video, they are crossing path. And you know that about their malice and their ongoing deliberation regarding what they're about to do based on what it is that I'm doing and they anticipate me doing, because a fake sun sits over me at this address. It is for the stalking pattern of conduct by an entire entity. Everyone can come and participate where the fake sun is sitting all day long. Everyone that lives at that venue, everyone that works at that venue, acting with that entity that comes onto the grounds and uses the sky space above it is going to prison for it. And that includes units 33 through 64. So that's what I want to make sure that I document. Innovage is acting by a third party operating the license 81864K3 and the New Jersey license, gang stalking under the fake sun with that same demon under unit 42, which you will see her scooting past under the fake sun after 3:30 in the afternoon, and it's over the same apartment building where she was monitoring me then, and she's monitoring me now with the demons that are pacing outside, stalking with noise, while psychopaths who are also worshiping my genitalia do so with regard to knowledge about what I'm doing inside of an apartment, while they don't have to look at me, they don't have to know me, they don't have to be anywhere around me, while they engage in the demonic behavioral pattern. Demons who are monitoring you, stalking with noise, doing so under a fake sun, doing so amongst engineered light. All right. Pursuant to a pattern of conduct that has been well documented before I encountered yet another band of demons who are going to be prosecuted personally and commercially. It is currently 11:57 a.m. This is all going to be published, and this is also criminal conduct again in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. The entity that is engaged in monitoring, which is a sex offense, is unlawful under existing law with regard to the Violence Against Women Act. It is stalking. It is even beyond stalking, because it's not one person that's stalking. It's an entity that is stalking, and it is nonetheless stalking. It is a threat to my life and safety. It's even a threat to my liberty and well-being, because the government is engaging in this corrupt system against me and employing an entire population to do so. And the government comes onto the ground stalking with those that are acting as the people, including the very residents, the entire property, including the personnel of the landlord company, are engaged in stalking as that malicious pattern of conduct is unveiled, and all of the entity that is acting together, and it is in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. All right. It is currently 11:58 a.m. on February 21st, 2025. This is P.O.C.